Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means shutting off your emotions or pretending not to care, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Detachment is about freedom. Freedom from the chains of overthinking, from the need to control everything, and from the emotional roller coaster of trying to hold on too tightly. Imagine being able to breathe deeply, knowing that your worth isn't tied to someone else's actions. That's the power of detachment. It's not about ignoring your feelings, but learning to feel without being consumed by them. Think about it. How many times have you felt like your happiness depended on someone else? Maybe you've waited anxiously for a text, replayed conversations in your head, or even changed your plans just to keep someone close. That's not love, that's attachment. Detachment, on the other hand, is about reclaiming your emotional independence. It's realizing that you can care deeply for someone without losing yourself in the process. It's like being the captain of your own ship, steering through life's storms with confidence instead of being tossed around by the waves. But here's the catch. Detachment doesn't come naturally. It's a skill, a mindset shift that takes practice. It's about recognizing that some things are out of your control and learning to let go of the need to micromanage every outcome. This isn't just about relationships, it's about life. When you stop clinging to what you can't control, you create space for peace, clarity, and emotional freedom. And that's where the real transformation begins. When you stop chasing and start attracting. Speaking of chasing, let's dive into why anxious attachment can feel like a never-ending cycle. Anxious attachment can feel like living on a tightrope, constantly balancing between fear and hope, craving connection but terrified of rejection. It's a pattern where your mind becomes a battlefield, overanalyzing every word, every pause, every action. You might find yourself checking your phone obsessively, replaying conversations, or even creating scenarios in your head that don't exist. This isn't just exhausting, it's a form of self-sabotage. Anxious attachment doesn't bring you closer to others. It pushes them away while leaving you emotionally drained. The impact on your mental health is undeniable. Studies show that people with anxious attachment are more likely to experience heightened levels of anxiety, insomnia, and even physical symptoms like a racing heart or stomach knots. It's like your brain is stuck in overdrive, constantly scanning for signs of abandonment. But here's the thing, this isn't your fault. Anxious attachment often stems from unresolved childhood patterns or past relationships where your emotional needs weren't met. Recognizing this is the first step toward breaking free from the cycle. So, how do you break the cycle? It starts with awareness. The next time you feel that urge to check their social media or overthink their silence, pause. Ask yourself, am I seeking reassurance or am I trying to control the uncontrollable? This small moment of mindfulness can be a game changer. Remember, anxious attachment thrives on control, but true connection comes from trust and vulnerability. And speaking of control, let's explore why trying to control others often backfires in ways you might not expect. Control feels like safety, doesn't it, when you're trying to hold everything together, whether it's a relationship, a situation, or even someone's emoticons. It gives you the illusion that you're in charge. But here's the hard truth. Control is a trap. The more you try to control others, the more resistance you create. It's like squeezing sand in your fist. The tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. And in relationships, this need for control often leads to tension, mistrust, and emotional distance. Science backs this up. Studies have shown that people with a high need for interpersonal control are significantly more likely to experience anxiety disorders. Why? Because control is exhausting. It keeps your brain in a constant state of hypervigilance, always scanning for threats or signs of rejection. This is where the effect of psychological reactance comes into play. When someone feels their freedom is being threatened, they instinctively push back. It's why your partner may withdraw when you try to micromanage their actions or emotions. Control doesn't create closeness, it creates walls. So, what's the alternative? Let go. Yes, it sounds counterintuitive, but letting go of control is the first step to building trust and emotional freedom. Instead of trying to predict or manipulate outcomes, focus on your own emotional well-being. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing and why? This shift in perspective can be liberating, and here's where it gets fascinating. Neurobiology plays a huge role in why we cling to control. Let's dive into how your brain's reward system might be keeping you stuck. Your brain is wired to seek connection. It's a survival mechanism as old as humanity itself. But here's the twist. The same circuits that make love and relationships feel rewarding can also trap you in unhealthy patterns. When you're anxiously attached, your brain releases dopamine in unpredictable bursts, just like a slot machine. Sometimes you get the response you crave, and sometimes you don't. This inconsistency creates a powerful emotional addiction, making it nearly impossible to let go, even when the relationship is toxic. Neuroimaging studies have shown that rejection activates the same areas of the brain as physical pain, particularly the anterior cingulate cortex. That's why heartbreak can feel like a punch to the chest. It's not just in your head, it's in your body too. And the more you dwell on the rejection, the stronger these neural pathways become. It's like your brain is rewiring itself to expect pain, keeping you stuck in a loop of rumination and self-doubt. But here's the good news. Just as your brain can wire itself for pain, it can also rewire itself for healing. This is where the concept of neuroplasticity comes into play. So, how do you break free? It starts with awareness and intentional action. When you feel the urge to check their social media or replay old memories, pause and redirect your focus. Engage in activities that release dopamine in healthy ways. Exercise, creative hobbies, or even meditation. These small shifts can help retrain your brain to find joy and fulfillment outside of the relationship. And as you begin to reclaim your emotional independence, you'll discover the transformative power of autonomy and self-love. There's a world of difference between being tolerated and being truly appreciated. When you're stuck in patterns of anxious attachment, it's easy to settle for crumbs of attention, mistaking proximity for connection. But here's the truth. Your presence is a gift, and it deserves to be valued, not just noticed. Autonomy and self-love are about recognizing your worth even when others fail to. It's about stepping back and asking, am I being appreciated, or am I just being used to fill someone else's void? Self-love isn't selfish, it's survival. When you prioritize your own well-being, you create a foundation of emotional security that no one can take away. Think of it like building a house. Without a strong foundation, everything else crumbles. This doesn't mean you stop caring for others. It means you stop abandoning yourself in the process. For example, instead of rearranging your life to fit someone else's needs, start setting boundaries. Say no when it feels right. Take time for yourself, even if it means disappointing others. These small acts of self-respect send a powerful message to yourself and to the world. But autonomy doesn't mean isolation. It's about finding balance, caring deeply without losing yourself. When you embrace your independence, you become magnetic. People are drawn to those who radiate confidence and self-assurance. And here's the best part. When you stop chasing validation, you naturally attract relationships built on mutual respect and reciprocity. Speaking of relationships, let's take a closer look at the toxic patterns that often keep us stuck in cycles of pain and disappointment. Toxic relationships don't always start with red flags. They often begin with subtle patterns that grow over time. One of the most common is the fear of abandonment, which can lead to behaviors that ironically push people away. You might find yourself overcompensating, constantly seeking reassurance, or even tolerating disrespect just to keep someone close. But here's the harsh reality. The more you cling, the more you create the very outcome you fear. Psychologists call this a negative, self-fulfilling prophecy, where your fear of being left drives actions that make it happen. Another toxic pattern is codependency, where your sense of worth becomes tied to fixing or saving someone else. It feels noble at first. After all, who doesn't want to help someone they care about? But over time, this dynamic becomes draining and one-sided. You stop being a partner and become a caretaker, losing yourself in the process. This is often referred to as the savior complex, and while it may feel like love, it's actually a disguised form of control. True love isn't about rescuing someone, it's about walking alongside them as equals. Breaking free from these patterns starts with self-awareness. Ask yourself, am I giving because I want to, or because I'm afraid of losing them? Healthy relationships are built on reciprocity, not sacrifice. And here's the thing, when you let go of toxic dynamics, you make room for something better. But how do you actually let go? It's not as simple as flipping a switch. It requires tools, strategies, and a mindset shift. Let's explore practical ways to overcome anxious attachment and reclaim your emotional freedom. Breaking free from anxious attachment isn't easy, but it's absolutely possible with the right tools and mindset. One powerful technique is known as the urge surfing method. When you feel the overwhelming need to text someone, check their social media, or seek reassurance, pause. Take a deep breath and observe the urge like a wave. It rises, peaks, and eventually fades. This simple act of mindfulness helps you regain control over your actions, instead of letting anxiety dictate your behavior. It's not about suppressing the feeling, but learning to write it out without reacting impulsively. Another strategy is the 90-day detachment protocol, which is designed to rewire your brain and build emotional independence. The first 30 days focus on abstinence, no stalking their profiles, rereading old messages, or seeking contact. Yes, it's tough, but it's like detoxing from an emotional addiction. In the next 30 days, redirect your energy into yourself. Start journaling, set personal goals, or pick up a new hobby. By the final 30 days, you'll notice a shift. What once felt like an obsession becomes a distant memory, and you'll feel lighter, freer, and more in control of your emotional well-being. Gratitude and physical activity are also game changers. When anxiety strikes, try the 5-5-5 technique. List 5 things you're grateful for. Take 5 deep breaths and spend 5 minutes moving your body. This combination calms your nervous system and shifts your focus to the present moment. The key is consistency. These small actions, repeated daily, can create lasting change. And as you begin to reclaim your emotional freedom, you'll notice something incredible. The less you chase, the more you attract. But where does spirituality fit into all of this? Let's explore how faith and detachment go hand in hand. Spirituality and detachment go hand in hand, offering a deeper sense of peace and purpose when life feels overwhelming. At its core, detachment isn't about giving up. It's about trusting something greater than yourself, whether you call it God, the universe, or simply faith. Spirituality teaches us to release the need for constant control and embrace the flow of life. As the Bible says in Matthew 6:25, "Do not be anxious about your life." These words remind us that true freedom comes from surrendering what we cannot control and finding strength in faith. When you idolize relationships, you place an impossible burden on others to fill a void. Only spirituality can truly satisfy. This is where the concept of emotional freedom through faith becomes transformative. Instead of clinging to people or outcomes, you learn to anchor yourself in something unshakable. For example, practicing gratitude through prayer or meditation can shift your focus from what you lack to what you already have. It's not about ignoring your desires, but trusting that what's meant for you will come in its own time. This mindset creates a sense of abundance, replacing fear with hope. But spirituality isn't just about belief, it's about action. Detachment requires daily practices that ground you, like journaling, mindfulness, or reading sacred texts. These habits help you cultivate inner peace, even when life feels chaotic. And here's the beauty of it. When you let go of the need to control, you open yourself up to relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and love, not desperation. Speaking of relationships, let's explore what truly makes them healthy and fulfilling. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect, trust, and emotional security. Unlike the highs and lows of toxic dynamics, a healthy connection feels steady and grounding. It's not about grand gestures or constant passion. It's about showing up for each other, even in the mundane moments. Psychologists often refer to this as companionate love, the kind of bond that grows stronger over time through kindness, patience, and shared values. It's not flashy, but it's the glue that holds relationships together for the long haul. One fascinating concept is the Michelangelo effect, where partners help shape each other into their best selves. In a healthy relationship, your growth isn't stifled, it's encouraged. For example, imagine a partner who supports your dreams, celebrates your wins, and stands by you during setbacks. That's the kind of relationship that fosters true emotional intimacy. On the flip side, if you find yourself shrinking to fit someone else's expectations, it's a sign that the relationship might not be as healthy as it seems. Real love doesn't ask you to dim your light. It inspires you to shine brighter. But here's the thing. Healthy relationships don't just happen. They're a choice made daily. They require effort, communication, and a willingness to grow together. And while no relationship is perfect, the key is how you handle challenges. Studies on long-term couples show that kindness under pressure is one of the strongest predictors of relationship success. So, the next time you're faced with conflict, Ask yourself, am I reacting with love, or am I letting fear take over? And if you're wondering how to break free from unhealthy patterns and choose better connections, it all starts with one thing: detachment. Life is full of choices, and one of the most powerful ones you can make is to step out of the vicious cycle of anxious attachment and into the freedom of detachment. It's not easy, but it's worth it. Detachment isn't about giving up on love. It's about choosing love that's rooted in dignity, respect, and emotional security. When you let go of the need to control or chase, you create space for relationships that align with your worth. And here's the truth: the journey to detachment is also a journey to self-discovery. Who are you when you're not defined by someone else's approval? Think about it. What would your life look like if you stopped clinging to what doesn't serve you? Imagine waking up each day feeling lighter, more confident, and in control of your emotions. That's the gift of detachment. It's not just about relationships, it's about reclaiming your power in every area of your life. But here's the catch: no one can do this work for you. It starts with a decision to prioritize your emotional well-being over temporary comfort. Are you ready to make that choice? If this resonates with you, don't stop here. Take action, start small, practice mindfulness, set boundaries, and reflect on what truly matters to you. And remember, you're not alone in this journey. There's a whole community of people learning to let go and grow stronger every day. So, what's holding you back? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep this conversation going. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another opportunity to grow and transform. Your journey to emotional freedom starts now.